Welcome back to Recap Kickback. It's me, your host, Chappell, and I am happy to be back to talk about something we touched on a little bit before on Recap Kickback, which is our favorite topic here, Tyler Perry movies. And with me, fresh out of the House of the Dragon recap that we were doing for the Westeros Recap Kickback here on recapkickback.com, it's Mari. Mari, what's good?
Hey, we're back to talk about another Tyler Perry movie because why?
Mari, look alive. We gotta be excited. This is Tyler Perry.
Yes, yeah.
TP.
Woo. Yes, no, it's funny. Like he knows what to do in order to get the clickbait, in order to get the attention, in order to get people talking. So we have to be here. We have to talk about it. Yes, the movie came out a while ago, but it's still in the news. It's still causing traction. So we had to come and break it down like only we can.
Yeah, we got to talk about it. And yeah, I think the big question of the day is Tyler Perry serious? Is he really doing this? Or is this all just to get people to click on it and to find out what it is? Is this all for shock value? And so not to shock everybody, but we do have our special guest here for the first time ever. Okay, I've been begging for her to appear on this podcast, but we brought in our own clickbait. It's Aysha. Aysha, what's up?
Hello. I love any opportunity to podcast with y'all. And there's only two people in this world who could make me finish this movie because I would have been out 20 minutes in, 7 minutes in, really. If I would have been like, okay, let me see it through, then I probably would have cut out at 20 minutes, not going to lie. But I did it for y'all.
Well, thank you. We're so happy to have you here on Recap Kickback. Aysha, tell everybody a little bit about you since you're a first-time guest here. And some of the Recap Kickback people might not be familiar with your other works.
Yeah, so I have been podcasting for Rob Has a Podcast for the past 4 years, which is wild to think about. I talk about shows like Big Brother, which talking about Big Brother 26 right now. I host The Perfect Match over with Jason Reed, talking about the show Married at First Sight. So we've been talking about that show for about, 4 or 5 seasons, 5 or 6 seasons, which is kind of wild to think about. I also co-host a podcast on Rob Has a Podcast about Love is Blind with Mary Kwiatkowski. So we've talked about a few of those seasons, talked about The Ultimatum, talked about Perfect Match on Netflix. So I like the unconventional dating shows is kind of my specialty.
Are you watching Love is Blind UK?
I'm not, but I do want to catch up. I've heard it's really good. I haven't started it. So I'm trying to get through Too Hot to Handle.
And why? Ew. I gave up on Too Hot to Handle like season 2. Like,
I don't know. Something just keeps pulling me back in. But yes, what about Love is Blind?
No, I was gonna say, and if for our like day ones, the Connect going all the way back to the Connect days, they should recognize you from me and you doing the other Black girl over on post show recaps, the Connect. So it's a reunion.
And it feels so good.
Yes. So
that was honestly back with us. Such a fun time. Like I wish the show was longer so we had an excuse to keep podcasting together.
Yes.
And like, no offense to Jason Reed, you're amazing. I have a great time podcasting with you. But that was like some of the funnest times I've had podcasting because it just felt like a conversation. Like it just felt like we were like talking about a show we were watching.
Yes, it was amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, well, you can still check out that coverage on the Connect on Post Show Recaps feed because it still exists. And so you can check that out to keep up with some of the older stuff that we talked about. Of course, what Aysha and Mari talked about. But let's talk about what's coming here on Recap Kickback. Mari, this week, Bel Air is coming back. And so, Pooya and I will be bringing back our coverage of Bel Air. We've talked about season 1 and season 2 on Bel Air, a post show recap. But we are bringing that to Recap Kickback as well. So if you subscribe to that podcast, you can catch all of that here on Recap Kickback because I think 3 episodes are dropping this week. And so they should be out by the time this podcast is released as well. So catch that and listen to Pooya and I talking about that. Mari, is there anything else we have coming up that's pressing right now?
We have something in the works. Yes.
Yes. Big things coming. Big things popping.
related to like one of my other podcasts, the Crime Scene podcast. That's a little hint for you guys. So just make sure you're subscribed to the Recap Kickback so you don't miss any of our content coming.
Yeah, and I think me and Tyrone are going to be talking about Mr. Throwback soon as well. The Steph Curry series that is on, I believe it's on Hulu maybe or Peacock.
No, it's on Peacock.
Yeah, it's on Peacock. So check that out and more about
medalist.
The gold medalist.
Steph Curry.
Exactly. Yeah. So check that out. Recapkickback.com/subscribe. And then, of course, you can catch us here on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@recapkickback. So now that that's out the way, let's talk about this movie. So just a little peek behind the curtain. We weren't going to talk about this movie. Okay. Initially, we were going to talk about it. It was hot. I kept hearing about this crazy scene where a woman removes her kid from a casket in a church. And I was like, all right, we got to watch it because everybody's talking about it. But, due to scheduling, we couldn't work that out. So we kind of missed our moment. But recently, I was talking to Mari about what was coming up next. And I came across an article. And it was tweeted out by one of my favorite accounts on Twitter, Phil_Lewis, the Philip Lewis account. Great journalist, but also he keeps you posted on some of the Black people news. Exactly. And this week in Black people news, we find out that Tyler Perry's Divorcing the Black drives more U.S. Prime Video subscriptions than any other Amazon MGM movie studio says. So this movie has been a phenomenon on Prime Video. You might not like this movie. You might even hate this movie, but the numbers don't lie. It came in, I believe, number 3 in July behind Axel F with and If on Paramount Plus. Axel F on Netflix, of course, being the 4th iteration of the Beverly Hills Cop franchise. And I think it has 498 million minutes streamed so far as of January, and an estimated 3.5 million views total. So everybody liked this but us. What's going on, Mari?
I mean, it's so funny, right? Because one of my friends from college who I hadn't seen in like a few years came to visit me back in the end of June. And we was just, being niggas. And so we was like, well, let's watch something. And so I was like, okay, let's watch Divorced in the Black. It's the only time I'm going to have somebody to watch it and we're going to kiki about it. And this is the time when people were like, oh my God, just watch the first 7 minutes, watch the first 8 minutes. I didn't see the clip. I just heard people saying like, Tyler Perry should be put down just for that first 8 minutes of that movie. And I was like, what? Okay, let's watch the first 8 minutes. We watched the first 8 minutes. We are on our couch. And as soon as that lady stood up, I turned to my friend. I said, she's going to make them take that body out that cast.
You knew?
Immediately. My friend was like, huh? I was like, that body is coming out of that casket. And lo and behold, they lifted that man up. Like they took that body. Get him. Get Cody. No, leave the cat. I mean, oh my God. I was just like, okay. And then I quickly proceeded to like fall asleep 10 minutes later. And she watched the rest of it. And when I woke up, she was like, it actually wasn't that bad. She was like, I think you should watch it. I was like, yeah. I'll finish it one day. And that day is today because I had to, I was forced here. So, ridiculous. That's all I can say. Like I completely understand why it went viral when it did with that first 7 minutes.
And Aysha, was this on your radar as well, or did we put this on your radar when we decided that we were going to talk about this on Recap Kickback?
I had seen people talk about it, but not enough to have seen, like, I never came across any of the TikToks that showed the scene, nor did I hear anybody talk about the scene. I just heard that it was like a typical Tyler Perry movie. And after Mea Culpa, I was like, which I only watched because Kelly Rowland was in it.
Yeah.
Real.
So very real. When y'all said like, let's watch it. Okay. So I wasn't like surprised that happened. Cause when she said, get him, I knew like the first get him, get him out of the casket, because then it was like, they started, and then she's like, no, of course, she gotta make it clear. And so I was like, okay, so that's what we're doing with this movie.
Right.
So just, I knew, so like, yes, absurd, as the whole movie is absurd. But I do feel like I was able to kind of like relax and like watch it if I saw it as a comedy rather than as the drama that Tyler Perry intended it to be.
Jeez,
which is like wild, because I mean, have y'all heard of that, like that old movie that, well, I'm sure you have, called The Room?
I've heard of The Room.
Yeah, like
okay, where they spoofed it. So the guy that made The Room intended for it to be a drama, like this, and then it was like it came out and everybody saw it as a comedy, and that's why it did so well, because it was like just so absurd. And so I was like, this reminded me of that, because I was just like, this was awful. And to my, with my viewing experience, I was like, I didn't enjoy this one bit as a drama. But if I looked at it as a comedy,
it was pretty good, right?
Yeah, pretty solid movie.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, I saw the same thing y'all saw. People were talking about it. It was going viral in a way that, you know, I get on Facebook. That's where, if you ever want to know anybody's review about a Tyler Perry movie, just go on Facebook for 5 seconds and you'll see it. At least on my feed. That's how that's how my black ass feed is set up. But yeah,
which really ages us. I actually saw a story today of somebody who was like in their 20s. They posted, they were like, "Ooh, this would have did numbers on Facebook."
Yeah.
It could do numbers today.
You're right. Right, exactly. It would have done it way back when Facebook was things like, maybe Facebook ain't went nowhere, and I guess that's where you can find us in the nursing home on Facebook.
Oh God,
yeah.
No.
But look, I saw the post. And everybody comes saying, like, nah, what, this funeral scene is crazy. Tyler Perry, arrest this man, all this other stuff. And I said, okay, I don't want to be spoiled. I don't want to see the clips, but I had already picked up on what was going to happen. So I watched the movie thinking that it was somewhere down the line. I didn't know we were coming out the gate with the big reveal. And so all that to say, I watched it and it felt, it didn't feel like a typical Tyler Perry movie for a few reasons, but it did feel cartoonish, you know, in a lot of ways. And I definitely want to talk about that because Mari posed a really good question to me when we decided we were going to talk about this. She said, is this clickbait? Is Tyler Perry just putting absurd things into his movie so that people will watch it? Obviously, based on the article we just saw, the numbers are reflecting that, people are subscribing just to be able to watch this one thing. From MGMs, I mean, like literally saying, all right, well, I didn't have a subscription, but I got to see what people are talking about. So, Mari, you watched the whole movie. Is there anything of note that you've ever heard anybody else talk about from this movie except for that scene? Like outside of that scene, has anybody ranted or raved about anything else in this movie?
No, I mean, the only thing that I can even remotely think about is people did say Meagan Good did a really good job in the role. And I'm not gonna lie.
And to that I say,
I think she did. I think with what she was given, I feel like exactly like what we said about Kelly Rowland. It's like with what she was given, she made it work. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like Meagan Good was. It's just funny because she's like acting dramatically, and it's just like.
You're like, I guess that's what they wanted. So there you go.
Yes. Yeah. Like, she was conjuring them tears. She was in her feelings. And I'm like, girl, you are doing good. Now, does this make any sense? No. But that's not her fault. And this is so funny because whenever I watch Tyler Perry movies, I'm always like, I'm always looking for like what are you trying to tell us, Tyler? Like, what are you trying to preach?
What's the moral of this story?
What is the moral of the story, Tyler? Because that's how he's written his movies for the past umpteen years.
Forever.
So going into this movie, I was like, okay, we know the template. Abused woman tries to get away from her abuser. There's a man there. He's gonna help her. Like, it's rinse and repeat. And this was technically that. This was the same old Tyler Perry movie, just with a cowboy hat on. I guess he I guess he knew.
It was the voice in the black dipped in red. You know, it's like redneck. It was redneck but black, you know, because some of these moments throwing that body in the back of a pickup truck, that that was wild.
Referring to a whole family by their last name, the Bertrand boys, like that is some country ass shit. So like it is that. But the funny thing is, let me know what y'all think. this is probably the most pro-Black woman movie that Tyler Perry has ever done in his life.
I really have to think about it. Like we covered Mea Culpa, and I didn't see that. That wasn't.
No, because you came away from it blaming her. So no.
I mean, should she not have been blamed? Ma'am, get out of there. Get out of that house.
Make better choices.
Make better decisions. Here I will say that I don't know, man. If Meagan Good gave us what she was supposed to be giving us, she looked real dumb throughout this entire movie, and I have a big question.
That's exactly how she was written.
Right. Yeah. And I'm not saying that's her fault. No I'm saying if that's being pro-Black woman, Aysha, what are we supposed to do with this?
I know. Well, look,
at the end.
I think your point with it being clickbait, right? That's valid. But there is a large population out there that loves this. I had to call my mom before we did this because I knew she was one of the many that I knew before I even pressed her name that she was going to be like, that movie was good. So I said, Mom, what did you think? She said, oh, I loved it. I was so entertained. She said the main points that she thought everybody delivered their role. She thought Corey delivered his role. She thought
we'll talk about it.
She said he was so passionate. He was into the role. She was entertained every step of the way. She was like, that's real. Like narcissists really act like that. And so it was like, she was like, she felt like it was you could see this play out in real life in certain, like in people. Right. And so that she just felt like it hit on all the points that it was trying to hit. And she thought it was great. So she was very surprised when I said, Mom, that movie was awful. She was like, what? Did we watch the same thing?
I'm taking mine right now. I'm taking my mom.
Yeah, section. I talked to my mom about it too. My mom would sound like in the moment she was a lot more excited about it, but now she's kind of cooled on it. It's been too long. But I will say this: she was entertained. Now, whether or not it was good or bad, I don't know. But to her, at least she was engaged in the story. Right? It's a very exciting, thrilling story if you really look at it. But I do think that your mileage may vary on that kind of fantastical story, right? Like to say that anybody we could see this playing out, it's like maybe, but could you really see somebody pulling their kid out of the casket?
That's what I told her. I said, could you see somebody pulling somebody out the casket? She said, well, I don't know about that. So what about the pastor calling out the deceased family?
That was
she was like, well, I don't know about that. I said, what about the man yelling for a divorce out of nowhere in the middle of a restaurant? She's like, well, not that either.
So why don't this happen in my life? Like, how come I ain't never been at a restaurant and heard somebody just stand up like, I want a divorce, woman. Sign the papers. Sign the papers.
Oh my God. So my mom said no, she didn't watch it. She said she heard mixed reviews about it, which I'm shocked. But then my TT was like, hey, yeah, I watched it. I'm like, yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, you did. I know you did.
What you think about it?
So there are good things and there are bad things in this movie. I really want to focus on the good things because I'm sure the bad things will just come out organically. Let's talk about the cast. We've heard a couple of the names dropped so far, but this is starring Meagan Good, who we know is an icon in the Black community. I don't know what her celebrity status is in the larger Hollywood community, but as far as Black A-listers go, Mari, she's solid on the A-list group, right?
Oh yeah, like a lot of Black people know Meagan Good. She's we know Meagan Good. Black people famous.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For our entire life, we've known Meagan Good. What was it? Cousin Skeeter as a kid. I think Eve's Bayou as well.
Friday.
Whatever she was in. Oh, I guess that was Eve's Bayou, where she was in with the mom from this movie.
Yeah,
she's known her since she was 14.
Yeah, crazy.
She's been in our lives forever.
And like I said, I don't care. Meagan Good was acting down, like she really was. Now, was it appropriate?
For this movie, yeah,
for this movie, yeah. She was our lead character here in this movie, and she's played alongside the leading man here. I guess will be Corey Hardrict. He plays Dallas in this. I actually cannot remember if I've ever seen Corey Hardrict in anything else. Are y'all familiar with his work? Aysha, are you familiar with Corey outside of this?
So I watch All American.
Gotcha.
That means I watch All American Homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've look, I think anyone who is on All American that goes on to do like they've acted in other things, they act really well in other things, but for some reason on All American,
All American don't translate.
What?
It's one of those things where it's just like you know what to expect. I'm only in it at this point for the storylines, just to see what was written. But yeah, he plays a baseball coach on All American Homecoming, which the final season is airing right now. So that really is like the only thing that I've been really exposed to him on that I can like really remember. He does okay. I mean, it's how do you know there's nothing dynamic with like a baseball coach, but he's like the head baseball coach, like on the main team that the show is about. So it was like I could see the range in him acting because he doesn't act like that on All American. But it's just extreme.
Mari, did you know Corey Hardrict from anything else, or are you just familiar with him as being
Tia's
ex-husband?
Yeah, Tia's ex-husband.
Yeah.
The first thing I always remember him from is Battle Los Angeles. That that it was like that. It was like the alien. It was an alien movie, I believe. That was like a and it came out when we were in school. And I remember
2011, I believe.
Yeah, and he played like a soldier in it. And I remember thinking that he did a really good job in that. Like he had like, if I remember correctly, like a really standout like Valerie soldiery moment, you know, like I think before his character died. So and that's the main thing I remember him from, because I remember people were like, oh, that's Tia's husband. And that is literally it. And that was from what, 13 years ago?
Yeah. I checked his IMDb just now, and one of his first acting credits, if you go down far enough, you will see that his first acting credit is he's credited as a kid in the show Smart Guy. And I find that to be really interesting, considering that he goes from Smart Guy as his first acting role to be best known, I think, and this is no disrespect to him and his legacy as an actor, but best known for his relationship with Tia that ended in 2023. But I had never seen him act before. I don't think I've ever seen anything that he's done except for probably that episode of Smart Guy that I don't remember. But I thought, again, just like Meagan Good, I thought he did what was asked of him, you know, a narcissistic behavior. I don't want to diagnose the man, but yeah, it was given a lot of mood swings and stuff like that. I'd have to venture out and say maybe some bipolar tendencies as well. And a lot of abuse. Yeah, a lot of abusiveness, a lot of addiction. It was a lot in one character, and I think he handled it pretty well. So interesting to talk about some of these bigger scenes with him in it, because he's a big part of the plot, of course. And then Aysha mentioned as well, Debbie Morgan, who played mother in not the mother, she played the aunt, I believe, in East Bayou. She goes on to play in this the mom of Meagan Good's character. So she plays Jean in this Divorce in the Black. And I was happy because Debbie Morgan is a legend, but I was also kind of thinking like, dang, we gotta find better things for Debbie Morgan to do, you know? Because there's this scene in the grocery store, okay? And I just can't. That is what's there. You know, people were talking about how the body getting pulled out the casket stands out. That does. Come on, but the scene where she's in the grocery store and she goes to confront this abusive husband, and she's like, "You're the devil! You're the devil!" I was like, "Lady, this man been beating your wife, your daughter up, and he about to hit you too. Yelling at you, the devil ain't gonna help. You need to go to where are the police? Where's the gun? You know what I'm saying? You about to fight this man. You can't fight him." She just runs out like, "Yeah. God don't get you." It's like, no, girl, get out, you know. So
but every time they showed the cop, he looked like he didn't know what was going on.
He wasn't sure. Yeah, he wasn't really tapped in. So yeah, a lot. It was a wacky scene, but I was happy to see her. But her husband in this, since we talk about divorces,
I would
on the topic,
just like
Mari, you see your Uncle Richard in this.
Ex Mr. Tina Lawson.
Yeah.
We still looking at you sideways, sir. So,
Uncle Richard, a freak.
Very Mari. Very, very interesting that he's here.
Mari, what you think about Richard Lawson in this?
Again, over the top, like bad mouthing somebody at their funeral, grabbing after that altercation in the grocery store. He got upset and he grabbed his gun and decided to go down to the trailer park where the Bertrand boys are like he won't go and get his ass whipped.
Yeah, literally, you like walked into it and thought what? Nothing was gonna happen.
Oh my god. And we got okay. I don't know when you want to talk about this, but
Go ahead. No, go ahead. We're just making our way.
so the whole premise of the movie is like Meagan Good and her husband, they were from this small town in Georgia, and they keep emphasizing that this small town in Georgia is an hour and a half away from Atlanta where they live. They kind of like got out. She, quote unquote, brought him to Atlanta, to the big city. He got away from his country ass brothers and his mama, but his mama and his brothers still have a hold on him, and you know, he's done some things, and so he beats her and stuff like that. All I could keep thinking about every time a scene happened was like, this took an hour and a half to get you here. It was very an acrimony moment, because like 1 minute he's at their house in Atlanta stalking her, and the next minute he's in the grocery store assaulting her mother. Then her father goes straight from finding out about the grocery store to his house. But she's like, Mama, we're on our way. It's going to take us an hour and 15 minutes. It's like, so he got his ass beat. Was he laying there for an hour?
They had to go all the way out to get him. Yeah.
To get him. And then what pissed me off later, like literally 20 minutes later, they're all at the hospital, and she goes and steals her new boyfriend's car to set up the end game, and he is looking for her, so he goes to her parents' house, and he's like, I'm in your mother's car, I'm at your parents' house. I was like, wait, so her mother had a car this whole time? The mother couldn't go and
she
check
stole your car.
The mother couldn't check up on the father
After
who
he
was
got
laying
shot
in the trailer park.
She didn't want to go there and end up laid out too, Mari. Dang.
I couldn't. I just could, or again, call them police. Like if there had been a better solution than waiting an hour. Like I couldn't stop thinking about that, because they just kept saying it takes an hour and a half. It takes an hour and a half, but people would just be like popping up on both sides. They were just going back and forth between the country and the city, and I was just dying.
It's yeah. I mean, maybe it's different there. Like, and from Tyler Perry's perspective, he probably thinks, oh, you got away like an hour and a half. Like Houston is an hour and a half away from Houston. So it was like, for me, that little detail was like, okay, you're going across town.
Right.
Literally, it takes that long to get anywhere, but you'll go because you're like, I need to go there. So yeah, that little detail, like what was the point of the unnecessary, like the commute? I guess to just show that they got
over
out.
and over again. They said it over and over again.
They needed us to know that the trailer park and all that small town was so far away. You know, she had gotten her man out of there. She fell in love with this guy and tried to get him away from his family. And throughout, she will deal with them interfering in her relationship in ways. But the biggest question I have here is the love story in and of itself. We hear throughout that this man is abusive. His family sucks. They murder people. They rape people. They pillage, to the point where the pastor is at the funeral, literally telling them that their dead loved one is in hell. The pastor is up on the pulpit saying, he's dead, y'all. He's at the altar saying he's dead and he went to hell. And today's sermon is going to be about how the rest of y'all are going to go to hell if y'all don't get it together. The pastor is incensed. And the entire time we hear Meagan Good being like, but I'm in love with him. How? How did she fall in love with this man?
They've been together since they were 17. We found out.
How did she fall in love with him when he was 17?
A whole bunch of expositions. We found this out. And he was even mean in high school. The first thing she says to him 9 minutes into the movie is like, remember when we went to prom?
Yes.
And you got oil on your suit. And everybody laughed at you. Then you put it on me. You were mean. Like,
why, baby? That happened to you when you were 17. When did you fall in love? Aysha, you're the expert on the love shows. Talk to us.
That's what I didn't understand was y'all's relationship is so bad that your best friend has kept a list of all the bad things he's done. Like, you know how bad a relationship has to be? Crazy. That you're like, the first thing happens, you're like, I'm gonna note that. and I'm like, people is going to
Yeah.
get divorced someday. Like, that's so bad. So it's not like, because what it, like, for me, what would have made sense is like, okay, he's had this traumatic past, right? And then this death of his brother is what triggers this side of him. And like, it's triggering like the fact that we find out that he killed his dad and the mom made him. But it wasn't. He's always been this way. It was never any good. And I'm like, for this to have been the dynamic. Yep, he's been like this since jump, right?
Yeah.
She just, there's something in him that she loves. We just can't put our finger on it. He's the one that asked for the divorce. Like,
right.
Yes.
What are you talking? What prompted it now? Where did that come from? That's what it was. Just like, I couldn't make sense of it. And so it just was just like, it became frustrating at a point.
It didn't make any sense. Like her friends. So we do find out that her friend married his friend, but technically I'm assuming it's because the three of them, like her husband and the male friend, they all grew up in that town together. And then the wife of his best friend came along, and that's now her best friend. Jesus, that was a lot. But so they invite them to dinner, and he's like, oh, we gotta go to dinner. She's like, it's 5:30, I'll get dressed, I'll come back out. And he left her to, like, he just walks into the dinner with their two friends by himself, and they're like, oh, where's she at? He's like, I don't know, she's taking too long. Like, what? And then so she pulls up in an Uber, and this is where he decides to ask for a divorce very loud in a restaurant. And after saying Black women ain't shit, they don't support us, after we've already sat through 30 minutes of how she does everything. Like, I don't even know if he's working at this point. I think he does have a job. But she works at the bank. To, like, she is literally supporting him. She is literally putting up with his bullshit, and he says that out of his mouth.
Listen, this was the justification from my mom when I gave these points. She was like, she was like, because I was like, we never saw Ava is her name, right?
Ava, yeah.
Yes,
yeah, we
Ava.
never saw Ava give off this, like, I'm better than you, right? And my mom's like, no, that's because he was so insecure. Like, that's why he reacted this way, because he was just insecure in his own self. So he was, putting that off on her. But it's like, well, why did he need to get the divorce now? Why didn't he do it a month ago, 2 months ago, a year? Like, what was the outburst? It was like he was blaming her for everything that happened that day. He wouldn't even let her put her hand on him. And it was like, she was acting like this, like, oh, what do you even call it? Just like a damsel in distress, right? Like, she seemed like the perfect wife for someone like him.
Exactly. She was just a doormat. She was a doormat.
Exactly.
And he was fed up.
He was fed up.
He was fed up.
He was fed up.
He had
We've already seen him do like 8 million things. He damn near almost made her walk home after the. But I think what I'm assuming, which I have to assume because Tyler Perry, again, probably writes things and and then takes things out and then forgets that
I found that out. He rewrote the intro scene, like the first scene, he rewrote it the day before filming started. So no one knew what was going to happen. Like, they had done all.
They didn't know they finna drag that body out that casket.
They had no idea that was about to happen because he rewrote it the day before filming started.
Yep, that makes sense. So, but what I was gonna say is, what I think happened, which I have to guess through all of this shit, is because, like, after the funeral, his mom and his brothers kept getting into his ears about how she ain't shit. She's trying to do this to you. She's trying to change you. Because remember, at the scene again in the car right after the funeral, he's like, you always change me. Why won't you love me like I am? And she's like, I'm just trying to do better for you, babe. That was what I'm assuming, because, and then remember later on in the show, he's talking, it's his mom and his brothers who send them the picture of her with Benji, which we'll get to him. And they're like, see, we told you, bro, she be cheating on you the whole time. Like, wait, how did y'all jump to that conclusion?
How did we get here?
They've been together for 20 years. Like,
yeah, she been cheating on you for 20 years.
And clearly like this is the first time in a minute that she's seen bitch. Okay, anyways, but like from that scene, I'm just inferring that that's why he wanted the divorce now. It's because the people are chirping in his ear. Like, we don't need them. She's so snobby, blah, 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 blah. Like, because we saw the mom had never liked her because we saw the wedding video.
Oh. Okay. We've been tiptoeing around a lot of these crazier parts, but let's just dive in. Okay. The movie opens with the funeral that we've been talking about. What happens is the dad, the pastor, he's up in the pulpit, he's up on the altar, and he's giving his sermon about how this is a horrible family. This man who just died is a horrible man, and he's going to hell, and y'all gonna go to hell too. Obviously, this family, the Bertrands, they don't take that kindly. They don't like that. So the mom, she stands up. Her name is Linda. She stands up and she's like, hey, I don't want your charity. They think they're doing the Bertrands a favor. They're very poor. They could not afford to bury their kid. This other boy who was also horrible. And so we're gonna thanks to Meagan Good's character, thanks to Ava, we got you a funeral. We got you some clothes to wear at the funeral. And so we're gonna bury him for free because Ava's a part of the family by extension, through her husband, Dallas. But since Mama didn't like that word charity, they didn't like that they was getting it for free and that these people were giving them a handout, she proceeds to take off all her clothes until she's just in her undergarments. And then also, because I don't want them. I don't want your clothes. I don't want your handouts. And we don't even want your damn casket or your damn funeral. Take my child out of that casket. And so they take the kid out, the guy out the casket, and they throw him in the back of the pickup truck and go bury him in the front yard at the trailer park. And I think, Mari, that from this moment on, the divorce is imminent because I think that Dallas blames her for this happening. I think she thinks he says it's a setup at different points. Yeah.
He said it. Yeah, he said it. And like everything goes back to that first scene. Like after they bury him in the yard at the trailer park, she's looking for Dallas and he's in the back in their old pickup truck. And this is when they go down memory lane, which is not pleasant. It's all bad memories. And him blaming her for her father saying all that stuff, him saying that she's trying to change him. Like the Bertrand family they're that family their town is small, so everybody knows them and they're that problem family. And it leads to like them going out, like Dallas and his brothers going out to this bar. She tries to chase them down. He's of course not trying to hear it. She goes outside and look who she meets outside. It is the other love interest that we are now introduced to. It is Benji. And right when she meets Benji and she sees Benji, him and all his brothers come out and they threaten to beat him again because they say as they're about to beat him, oh, remember when we beat you up in high school and put you in the hospital? Like the exposition and why is it so noticeable every time? Every time. Girl, we've been best friends for 17 years. I'm from the north, you're from the south. Like it's like
they gotta set up the storytelling, Mari.
Like even the best friend when she was like, all right, I'm gonna go check after the funeral. She's like, all right, I'm gonna go check on Dallas. He's like, no, I've known him longer.
You don't understand. You didn't grow up down here like we did.
Yeah. Listen, y'all look. Okay, I give y'all that. it is a little. They hit the nail on the head, but they gotta let you know what the backstory is. Because Aysha, Benji had already got put in the hospital by this same group of people. So if it's me, your boyfriend, who is now your husband and his family, then put me in the hospital, you ain't never got to worry about me again. But why? why is Benji still showing up for Ava?
Well, what he said later on in the movie is that like when he was like scrawnier, that's when that happened. But then he became like when he got like big. I don't know, big, strong. Started working, country strong. Then he was like they didn't mess with him anymore. So I guess he's thinking like he's in the clear because
now
Ava is his lifelong love.
Them muscles ain't finna stop no bullet. You know, like these people are crazy. You know, we heard a lot of bad things about the Bertrams, and one of the nicest things anybody has said about them is that they beat people up. You know, everything else has been. I heard maim. I heard kill. I heard rape. All at the eulogy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, Benji, get out of there. What did you think about him as a love interest, though, Aysha? Or potential love interest as the saving grace in this movie? Because every Tyler Perry got one.
Yeah. So here's my issue with a love interest in this movie. The trauma that this woman is going through is too fresh. It's happening right now. You know, when a movie starts, you automatically want to start predicting like what's going to happen, right? And I was like, okay, we starting off like this. We're probably going to do a time jump. You know, it's going to be 1 year later. Then we're going to get to see like, okay, Ava's living her life. She starts to develop this love interest. And then, oh, this divorce is still looming. We thought this was behind us. And now, no, it's the same week. Like, we're in the same time. Why would she ever be ready to move on? They've been together since they were 17.
She went to her mom and dad's house for 1 week and came back a new person.
She said, I'm ready. I am ready to move on. I'm ready
to forge her own path. Yeah.
I'm ready to be bold. I am ready to just get myself back. If this, for the contingent of people out there who love this movie, there are people who've been through way less that can't move on that fast. So I'm saying,
family, church, and running. That's all it took. A week of family, church, and running, and she was back to the old her.
Well, can we talk about the running? It's something about the fact that this girl ran track in high school that her daddy just will never let go. You used to be a track star. How did this happen to you? I raised you to run through the finish line, Mari. Why are you in this abusive relationship when you were such a good track star? You used to run, baby. Remember your gold medals? Look at all the medals we got.
That was so interesting. Like, once she goes to her parents' house and they're giving her this like really long pep talk, I was like really confused a little bit, because I was like, they were like, we showed you a loving relationship. Her dad was like, I did everything for your mama. And they pulled out the receipts with the home videos. Like, this is you running track. This is you smiling. And then they said, this is you after him. And
at the wedding.
At the wedding, Miss Linda stood up and was like, I told you not to marry her, and knocked the bouquet out of her.
Why they record it and why they keep the footage?
It reads comedy. If you can laugh. The fact that this woman takes every family event, whether it's a funeral or a wedding, to show out, like, what are you doing?
Yeah. And they're just like, we haven't seen you smile or laugh in these ones after Dallas. And it did make her look even more stupid, because it's true. Like, because her parents are like, have a great relationship, but I guess, they're a preacher and a preacher's wife, and she's just like, you would always talk about how marriage is hard and people run and stuff like that. Her mama, who read the list that her friend gave her, which is just, again, ridiculous. And what was even more ridiculous was she said he was beating and spitting on you, and I was like, why are we here? Okay, but anyways, the mom reads the letter of all the things that he did, and then she's like, baby, I didn't raise you like this. I didn't raise you to take all this. Which, at this point in the movie, I'm like, Tyler, this doesn't feel like your normal stuff, because aren't you normally telling Black women to lower our standards? Right? Isn't that your tea? We supposed to be lowering our standards, right?
I mean, she did it for 20-something years, Mari. It was time to stand up. She's 40 years old, and her mama talking about how we didn't raise you like that. Yeah, that was fun to say when she was 18 dating this man. Maybe when she was 20 and they got married. She's 40, and you're like, I didn't raise you. Yes, you did. You did raise me like that. That's exactly who I am. Look at me now. If this was a mistake she was making in the real time, she just started dating an abusive man. She just got engaged to an abusive man. Y'all giving her this pep talk after the abusive man then asked for a divorce. Aysha, what did I miss?
Right. The relationship has run its course. Like, that's not teaching her anything. She wasn't the one who left. No. And so it's just like, if it's so accessible, we've seen y'all can make this hour-and-a-half commute so easy. Why haven't y'all stepped in sooner?
Right.
Well, the mom said she didn't know. Right, like
she didn't know he was spitting on her. Got it.
Right.
Well, we gotta talk about the note. The best friend, her name is Rona. Rona said, "All right, I can tell you about to be dumb and go back to him. So I just need to remind you that this has not been a happy relationship for you. This is not happy. Like she says, remember the good times. Were there ever any good times? Because here is a 4-page letter of all the things. I mean." Pages. She
said, I was going to give it to you after the funeral, but I decided
after hers, or because it sounded like she might have made it to her own funeral. Why did you bring that letter to the funeral, Aysha?
Right. When was that in any scenario? Would that have been the appropriate place to give her this letter? Look, while the mood is low. Here.
Well, everybody crying, girl. Take this.
Not even just when to give it to her, but who really sits there and documents? Like, that's wild to me. That's wild.
I'm telling you, to need to do that. Well, now I'm questioning her friendship. Because if the list, let's say you do that. The list gets to 5 things. Why are you not talking to your friend?
By that point, you have to hey, I started a list. It's still this list is still in development, but I just feel like you should read the draft of it.
That's what I'm saying. Like the moment my best friend tells me a man is beating at her, spitting on her,
we need to talk.
There's a ditch somewhere. There's a ditch dug somewhere. Like I don't understand.
She's like, oh, he pulled her hair.
Right.
Major deduction.
Like I don't understand. Like
pulled her hair again. Writes that one down.
Dear diary. Like what the heck?
With the Moesha music in the background.
Yes. Today Ava told me.
Right.
To spit on her.
Girl, you won't believe what just happened. What? I got hit. What?
I just got
hit.com. Okay. So we get past the letter. Mama reads the letter. Dad does not read the letter because if he does, he's going to react. And we will see that later on that he really will react. But there's a lot of stuff going on, right? Benji showing up, and while Ava is spending this time away from her husband since he has demanded this divorce. They are trying to now hook her up with Benji. He is the most eligible single person in town who's willing to fight with the Bertrams over this woman. Right. So every time we look up, Benji is there. Mari, they set up a date at the feed store.
Yeah, the feed store, the church. Like this man is also going through a divorce, or he went through a divorce from his wife that we don't see. We see that
for all we know it was 2 weeks ago because
the
pace at which you move on in this universe.
It was so nuts, right? Because she comes in on what I'm assuming is a Saturday and meets up at the feed store, and she's like, I can't do this. On Sunday they're at the church bake sale, and he's like coming on very strong, which again I'm like, sir, this is a divorce and it's a very bad one. And she's like, I can't do this. I need space for me. By Wednesday, they're at the fair together and she's throwing herself at him in the back of his truck. And then he's like, no, I can't do it. And I was like, oh, great. That's nice. He didn't take advantage of her.
Boundaries.
They wake up the next morning. He's like, oh, can I have your number? And she's again like, no, I can't think of it. I can't
I
be with
couldn't
anybody right
possibly.
now. But
Yeah,
it's like,
even though she
just
tried
free
to jump his
yourself out
bones in
here.
the pickup truck last night.
I'm sorry, Chappelle, continue. It's just like, and then by that Friday they're fucking. Like it was just, it was a week.
I mean, yeah, we get there kind of quick. Not gonna lie to you. She wanted to have sex with him in the back of his pickup truck, but she wasn't healed enough to actually give him her phone number. So they have to move on from there.
That's too intimate.
Too intimate, way too intimate. People are sending pics of her and Benji together. It's her family. His family. They're spying on them.
Mm-hmm.
They send the pics to Dallas and says, "Hey, she's always been cheating on you," and he always knew that she had been cheating on him, and now he can get money because he's divorcing her, and she has some infidelity now, and so he can get paid. So she talks about wanting to get this divorce, but not wanting to leave this divorce with any emotional baggage. She wants to have a divorce. Wait a minute, wait for it, in the black, and that's where we get the title. I was like, okay, that's clever. Aysha, if he's not gonna do nothing else, Tyler Perry gonna give us one of them clever little titles. We got Mia Culpa. Her name was Mia.
Yeah, I will say if he did anything, he did that one little thing.
he ate that. We can give him credit for that. So we get to the divorce proceedings. She's got her lawyer, who is Rona. I'm assuming her best friend is the lawyer. Or she doesn't. Well, I guess she's the stand-in lawyer because she actually doesn't have any lawyer. Yeah,
she isn't. They both work at the bank.
She showed up without a lawyer to this man who's clearly trying to scam her out of her money and her life.
She said he had nothing, but I'm like, girl, what about protecting your something?
She doesn't even read the contract. She just signs, Mari. She doesn't even look at it. And look, the lawyer pulls back the page so all she can see is the signature line and looks directly at Dallas like, we got her. And I'm thinking, damn it, woman. Like, you work at a bank.
So too.
Sign contracts, read them.
Right, nothing happened.
Nothing came from it.
I said, he took her for everything she's worth.
I thought, yes.
The house she can't get into now because the locks have been changed.
Here's the twist and nothing.
I said, okay, plot twist.
No, and then
I'm still waiting.
Not the paper saying really big letters, dissolution of marriage, like because that's what contract.
It had a cover sheet on it, a cover page. So the divorce proceedings are ghetto as hell.
You skipped one of the funniest scenes where he comes up into her work at the bank yelling at her, "Woman, you better sign these papers. You better be there at 11 a.m.
Don't be late."
Don't be late. And Rona in the background, like, Dallas, get out. He's like, Rona, shut up. She's like, I know you don't want to lose your job. She's like, nigga, I don't give a fuck about this job. I was like, oh, in the middle
in front of all these folks at the bank. Yeah.
There is a patron right there.
Right
in the room.
I would like to close my account, please. Thanks. Like
in front of all of this mixed company. Oh my God. That was the funniest thing to me. And then after he leaves, after they have that talk about, she said, what's he got? He don't got nothing. All of that. She's like, I'm back. Okay, I can help you. I was like, Rona.
Right. Like, ma'am,
how did nobody get fired from that scene? Like,
where are the managers?
Right. The whole town know about Dallas and his ratchet family. Yeah, it's her. It's her. It's the manager.
This is in Atlanta, Chappelle. So at this point, they're like, yeah, this is just a Tuesday.
It's Dallas. Yeah, this is every day. We see this all the time. So based on what Mari just said, obviously Rona's not a big fan of Dallas and this relationship. So she's very happy that this divorce is finalized, and she is going to throw her, Aysha, I believe it's called a fuck you nigga and bye divorce party full of strippers.
Yes, I believe that was the name. Which it's like, hey, fair. But then at this point I'm thinking like, oh, he got over on her. So it's like, oh, this is gonna be interrupted in some way because of realizing something. But no, that had nothing to do with it. That was not a part of the storyline. But yeah, with strippers and Benji.
Yeah, he showed up because
this man don't got nothing to do.
No, well, every scene is just a plot to hook her up with Benji. Again, let this lady
Yeah.
heal. Can she rest? Can
Is
she
he just a
rest?
Does
farmer?
he have hobbies?
Right.
I don't think he does.
He might be a sex
His
worker, you
animals.
know? Yeah.
I mean, we found out he got a little taste 20 years ago, and it's been up and it's stuck since then, apparently, because
She got
that's
that
what put him in
Meagan
the
good.
hospital. Yeah, they were
Mhm.
kissing in the truck, and the Bertrand boys came and dragged him out of the truck and beat him up and landed him in the hospital. And then she went on and married Dallas after that. Like,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
Oh,
anyways, yeah, he shows up. And
we
what's the best friend's name? We
his
haven't
name is
talked
Jim,
about
and
it.
you know we got to talk about Jim.
Yeah,
Um,
Jim.
they get the message that Dallas is outside. He's stalking her at the fuck you nigga goodbye party. And we need his best friend to go talk some sense into him. Jim is his best friend. Jim is Rona's husband.
Husband, yeah.
But
And this is
but
Shannon Wallace.
yeah, played by Shannon Wallace. I have a question about Jim. They
Okay.
say birds of a feather flock together. Jim, how are you friends with this man? How? The entire town fears his entire family. We've heard rape, we've heard pillage, we've heard maim, we've heard kill come from this family. You've known this man for 20 years. At least you've known him since high school. You've known Ava this entire time. You know that Ava, you are married to her best friend, so you know about the list. You know this man has spat on this woman, beat her ass. You saw them knock that damn bouquet out of her head at the wedding. Aysha, what do they have? Well, we know what they have on Jim.
Right.
Why is
But
Jim friends with this man?
isn't that just the essence of like male relationships?
No, not never like this. Not like this.
Yeah.
Not
Because,
like this. There's
he
a
could
limit.
easily think that
There's
ain't my
a limit.
relationship. What's the saying? Not my something, not my something.
Yeah. I know what you're talking
Yes.
about. I
Yeah.
can't think of it.
Yes,
Right.
that one.
Not my
So
circus, not my monkeys. I
yeah,
believe.
yeah.
Something like
So
that.
Yes, something
I
like that.
feel like it's one of those things where he's like, man, like we just that's my boy. And it's like, well, like morally, well, no, that's my boy. I think it's as simple as that.
But as
But
a
he
friend,
also
what do
looked
even?
exasperated though.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
you gotta be tired as hell. If this is your best friend, that's the same thing about her falling in love with him. What does he bring to the table that's even making that your boy? You know, like did y'all have like one cool moment in middle school, and since then you just can't
middle
let it
school,
go? Did
yeah.
he save your life or something like that?
What if he just pities him? Like, who else does he have? Name another friend we saw this movie.
We
His
didn't.
mama? I don't know.
And how did Dallas literally just walking into places? Like that was their house that he just like walked up into like several times. Like
Mhm. Yeah. Yep, this is bad. Ava will eventually tell Benji that, like, oh, thanks for being a gentleman. And you can stay in the guest bed. He makes sure she gets home safe. Mari, you're rolling your eyes.
yes.
She thanks him for being a gentleman, but at this point, he done waited a full 3-4 days. He's like, I'm kind of tired of doing that. He said, I ain't even gonna lie to you. I'm not sleeping here because if I sleep here, it's gonna be in your bed. And so I probably should go. And she's like, no, I'll stay. And so from there, she's bounced back, Mari, that quick. She's on to the next.
I mean, rightfully so, but
I
not
guess.
rightfully
I mean, it's
so.
long
I don't
overdue.
know. It's too much.
Just
Yeah,
heal. Just heal. That's all I ask.
Exactly.
She said
'cause we
she
did.
did. She was gone for a week.
Yes,
she
yes,
ran.
she's a new person. And we found out that she had only been with Dallas or whatever. So they sleep together, and then lo and behold, Dallas in the house downstairs the next morning, just
Eating
cereal.
Chilling, waiting on her to come downstairs. And he says, I'm thinking about forgiving you. I've been coming around. I know I demanded a divorce, clowned you, beat your ass for 20 years and all this other stuff, but I might take you back. I said, why did you go through the whole divorce thing if you were just going to come back and be like, never mind?
It made no sense. Aysha, I don't understand.
Exactly. Because so it felt like, okay, obviously he asked for the divorce. He wants her to beg to not get the divorce. But it seemed like the whole relationship is her begging him. Like, if he was so mean and abusive the entire relationship, and her staying and like probably trying to overcompensate to like, oh, like to make it anything not seem her fault. That's what she was doing the whole relationship. And so I guess maybe he just felt like, okay, maybe if his family's it's probably not this deep for Tyler Perry, but if he's like, his family is pressuring him to do this, then it's like, okay, well, maybe like I appease them, but then I know her, so there's no way she's gonna be like willing to do a divorce. But then the fact that she accepted, he's like, wait, you weren't supposed to agree.
Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe he just wanted her to like fight for him or beg him, and he wanted her to be miserable like that. And he thought he was going to be able to just like get a reaction out of her. But she was just like, nope, I'm just going to sign the papers. I'm just going to sign the papers. And he kept he kept saying, oh, you acting brand new. You must have something must have happened for you to sign those papers so quickly and stuff like that. It's just like,
yeah, you're
the problem.
Exactly.
The issue is you
gave me the opening and I'm taking it. Like,
right.
Yeah. So Benji and Ava, they basically jump Dallas and they beat him up and they throw him inside his car and tell him to never come back because she'd be damned if she beg a nigga to stay with her. I was like,
dragged him out that house. This was some great acting. Meagan Good was yelling at the top of her lungs.
Yeah.
I feel like she was talking. What's the dude, the new dude on
Jonathan Majors?
No, her ex-husband.
Her ex-husband.
Oh my gosh.
Meagan Good's
ex-husband?
Devon Franklin, yes.
Wait, pause. Meagan Good's ex-husband is on Married at First Sight?
No, he wasn't. He was like a guest expert.
Okay, I was about to say that is a plot twist because what the hell?
He was a guest expert after the divorce. So then it kind of was like, well, is he really the expert?
Yeah.
I'd seen them. I'd seen them speak at like different conferences, at least twice, where they came and spoke as a couple. And so when I found out they were divorced, I was like, damn, the way y'all was talking about y'all relationship, and every time I looked up at these educational conferences and stuff, like y'all was the keynotes. What's happening?
They wrote a book together.
Yeah, and lied in all our faces, scammers, all of them. So this is bad. They've now beat up Dallas, but we know he got a ratchet family. The next day, we see that Dallas is now outside the bank, battered and bruised. He's waiting there, and they have to get a restraining order. But she says, "I ain't afraid. I don't need no restraining order." Into which case, I said, "What?
Right?
Why? Since when? You should have got a restraining order against this man when you were married. Why are you saying you need one now when he's stalking you? What sense does this make?"
Ridiculous.
Didn't make it. Not a lick of sense.
Also,
that's what I'm trying to figure out what did make sense in.
Well, I got something that might have made a little sense. In retaliation to getting his ass beat and thrown into the car and shooed off of the property, Dallas has poisoned all the farm animals.
Oh yeah,
that Benji takes care of. Yeah,
rude.
So I guess
laid out.
I guess just murdering the farm animals. Nobody can arrest this guy. They tell the sheriff, he's like, "Well, we don't really have no proof."
That sheriff. They found like the most like a big white dude with like white hair, just ineffectual. Just every scene he's like, well, nothing we can do about it. Like every scene with his accent, like it was such a like a small town cop type thing.
Yeah,
like they got Officer Bar Brady out here like every time. It don't make no sense.
Yeah. Dallas will eventually pull up on Ava's mom at the grocery store, and this is again, I love me some Debbie Morgan, but also what this man corners her in the like produce aisle, like, now you listen to me, and she's like, you hot and you drunk and you the devil, you fool, and it just runs out of the store. He's like, oh bitch. I said, what is happening? Nobody gonna step in and help this elderly woman. You gonna let her get beat up in the milk aisle? We really gonna do this? Aysha,
well, someone did a really good reenactment of it on TikTok. Okay.
TikTok.
It's cracked. I will send it to you. It was hilarious. They had this girl in the background that was like in every shot looking.
Oh my god.
So So protect that. So to protect Ava further, they have now changed all the locks at the house. They got cameras and guns. Daddy got some hollow points.
Ooh,
And
you got hollow points.
Ava said, I mean, but is this really necessary? And in my notes, I put, girl, shut up. What do you mean is this necessary? This man has tried to beat you. He's trying to kill y'all.
Overdue.
Yes. So then, to make matters worse, Jim and Rona decide, let's go on a double date. Let's take Ava and Benji out on a double date, and we're gonna kick it. And nothing could possibly go wrong here, Aysha.
No. Why would we think that the man that's stalking you wouldn't show up? Like,
but they were at their house.
Yep. Someplace he knows.
They were in Jim and Rona's house when he walked. They're in their backyard.
He just walked in because this is his best friend's house. So
he already said a locked door won't stop him.
Yeah.
So
and he proved it.
Like and to hear that, like if I'm Ava, why am I not now terrified? Because
no, she said, this is too much? Is this really necessary, Aysha?
Literally, like, okay, it's one thing to be like, look, I just want to get that itch scratched by just like trying to like move on really fast. You're going on double dates. Like,
yeah.
What are you doing?
There couldn't have been that much time that has passed either. As y'all both pointed out, it's like, y'all,
no,
like,
we're in the same month.
Yeah, it's probably like 9 to 11 days later, at best. So of course he shows up to the double date and he's mad. He's cussing them all out and all this other stuff. And this is where Rona looks at Jim and says, "Do something." And Jim's like, "Hey man, you gotta chill. You gotta chill." And he's like, "Oh really? Really?" He's like, "Yeah, because you disrespected my wife now." He said, "Oh really? Well, where was that when you was out here with Kelly?" And I'm like, "Oh, Kelly." And I'm thinking, "Oh well, I mean, who's Kelly? We don't know nothing about Kelly." I really have to ask, what was the point of this here? Jim has kissed another woman or something like that in the past 10, 15 years, and it's now a part of the plot. Mari, what does it mean?
Why do my notes say, who is Kelly?
Who is Kelly?
And why you ain't beat her up? Who was I talking to? Oh my God. I don't know. I thought Tyler Perry thought this was gonna be the
big bomb drop.
Yeah.
Oh, we thought he was a good guy.
Yes. But what about Kelly? And then Rona was like, "Oh, I know about Kelly." He was like, "Oh." Like, but did she know you've been messing with her for years? And Jim was like, "That's a lie. I didn't mess with her for years." So it's just like, well,
Rona was like, "I'm mad."
Right. It was once. Like, what are we doing now? What are we doing? Why are we all of a sudden focused on their relationship? They are just supposed to be the best friends. That's it.
Which is crazy because this is so funny that this is what it is, because like earlier in my notes I was just like, I said Rona better not die. I don't know why. We were all expecting like a huge weird
something to happen. Nope, just the Kelly. And so that's it. That's the only time Kelly comes up in conversation. We don't address anything else with the infidelity or anything like that. We don't ask about Kelly. We don't see Kelly. It's just a random one-off line in the movie. Like, what about Kelly? Gasp. Okay, well, it's kind of a lie. All right, well, moving on. So the cashier ends up telling the dad here, Ava's dad, that Dallas has put his hands on his beautiful baby. And so dad is about that action. He goes to get his gun and he's about to pull up to the trailer park. And meanwhile, Mama, Debbie Morgan, is there. Okay. I was like, okay. All right. And they pretty much kill Clarence. I mean, he survives, but he showed up with a shotgun basically and got jumped by 8, like what, a family of like 7 at this point.
Why would you show up knowing it was going to be that many people? You know how many people live there.
Yeah, if you wasn't gonna shoot, you should have showed up shooting the gun. You show up like trying to threaten these people. Your first shot should have been a headshot.
And we started the movie with you knowing that they're not above it. They're no better than that.
You the main one pointing it out.
Yeah. So they shot him and they beat his ass, and because he hesitated. When they pull up, they end up having to call 911. Of course, as we know, mom is very sad. Jean, she's crying because they're trying to get the police on the case, but they need proof. And for some reason, Clarence just ain't talking. I guess it's because he's in the hospital. I don't know. And so he can't identify his attackers. So
like, how's he doing? He's not doing good.
He's not doing good. He's actually shot and beat up, and he's old. So, not bouncing back from this one anytime. So, Ava has disappeared.
Sorry, they didn't say a diagnosis or anything. They're just like, he's not doing. He's not good for him.
It's not good. Not good. Ava has disappeared. And Benji is getting pics and a phone call from Ava. And she I'm sorry. Ava has disappeared. And she decides, all right, I need to call my husband. I'm gonna call Dallas and I'm gonna tell him and I'm gonna lure him, I guess, back to the house. She says, just so you know, Benji was the best I ever had. And I'm going home to make love with him. And now you can't stop me. I'll be at our home address. Goodbye. And this is her big plan. So Aysha, I thought when they got there, she was going to ambush him and they were going to jump him or shoot him or something like that. No.
She acted like she needed him to hit her in order, as if she doesn't have pages on pages of things he's done to her. Why do you need to act in self-defense in this moment when the whole town knows what he's capable of?
When he comes to the door, she should just shoot him in the face and be like, he hit me. Because it's not a lie. It's the truth. It's the truth. She's like, I need you to hit me now. It needs to be fresh.
I think and sadly I think that was the twist. I think the twist was like she lured him back to her house. She lured him to like strike her so that she could then shoot him and then plead like, self-defense or stand your ground. And it's like technically full circle because his brother who they took out of the casket died in the same way. He was robbing some lady and some lady like shot him. So it's like all of the warning from the beginning of the movie comes back full circle and she does this, she kills him and it's like it's finally over. And then it's like also like all of the breadcrumbs is like she had a restraining order against him. She's been reporting him for stalking. He's here. He hit her like ha 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 ha. The master plan. She's able to kill him and get away with it. And it's just like okay.
Did you hurt my daddy? Did you put your hands on my mama? And he's like, yes. And she's like, oh, okay. He's like, a good woman is faithful to a fault. And I never disrespected you. I was like, it's okay. He's dumb or something because there's no reason he could ever think this. Like this man is not okay. He's not okay. And so she does lure him into beating her up, and he does. And then at that point, like Mari said, she has all the proof she needs. All the evidence is stacked in her favor. She grabs the gun. She shot him in the leg at first. And then she killed him. I was like, okay, cool. As long as you kill him. Because this shot in the leg thing, I was like, all right, ma'am.
She blew him the way.
Yeah, I was like, okay, he's not surviving that.
Yeah. But we get a cliffhanger ending. Aysha, you think this is over? You killed my boy. This shit ain't over. What? Divorce in the Black 2 coming soon? Mama's Revenge?
Divorce in the Black 2 ever saw the light of day. Well, we already know so many people would be watching to see the revenge of the Bertrams, but it doesn't need to happen. And I really hope that put a pin in it, let everybody's imaginations run wild with what they're capable of and what they're going to do to that family. Because what did she say? She's like, you know what you do to a good, like when you push a good woman too far.
That's the moral. That's the moral of the story, Aysha.
Never push a good woman
too far. Yeah.
You had to explain it to me. Yeah.
We made it. We found the moral of the story.
Yeah. Be pushing good women too far.
And the funny thing is, I thought that I kind of thought this was a whole setup for like a black version of The Strangers. You know what I'm saying? Like her running around the house and they're like trying to get into the house. I thought that's what it was gonna be near the end, and I was like, I guess not. Like Tyler Perry has such a reputation of stuff being so outlandish, and that opening scene was so outlandish that the whole time the movie is whole runtime of the movie, I'm thinking of all the wild things that are going to happen in this movie, and it honestly wasn't that wild. It's actually like a run of the mill type of stalker lifetime movie, yeah. Except for, I guess, the tweak in the fact that he was the one who asked for the divorce. I don't know.
Right. That was just like, okay.
Yeah.
Sign
like,
the papers, woman.
Crazy.
So all that to say, and Aysha brought it up, Divorce in the Black 2, if it ever drops, Aysha's already identified that people are going to watch it. So Mari, to put a bow on this, clickbait. Is Tyler Perry just creating clickbait? Because due to the story about the funeral and the casket, we all went and watched this movie. We've talked about the movie now. And if they come up with a Divorce in the Black 2, I'd be hard pressed to say people aren't going to check it out just to see if there's another scene that is as crazy as the casket scene. So have you landed on the next year?
I think so, because now knowing that, like Aysha told us, that scene was added the day before they're shooting, that makes sense, because now that I've seen the whole movie again, for a Tyler Perry style movie, this is like kind of low key in a sense, except for that scene. And like I said, even though she looked stupid at the beginning, I still think she kind of came away with a little bit of
I mean, she killed him.
Yeah,
she got him.
Right, the ultimate power move.
And
you pushed the big girl too far.
Yeah, exactly. And my TT got back to me. She said, I liked it. Everyone played their roles well. The husband definitely played his awesome. He was crazy.
Yeah. There you go.
So, do you have my mom's number? That's not
yeah. That's a good point. Aysha, my question for you is, would you have even watched this movie if it wasn't for the funeral scene? Could we have taken it out, and could the movie have worked, I guess is what I'm asking.
Oh, could the movie have worked without that? Absolutely. I think he's still an awful husband, right? Like he's still an awful like human in how he navigates life. Like I think all things could remain the same without that absurd scene. But would it have the viewership that it has? No, because like you said, no one else is talking about any other part of the movie to reel people in. Like at that point, then it's like, oh, did you see him yell at that restaurant? People aren't talking about that just like as like widespread on the internet. So like he got the attention, which was that scene. Yeah. And then the rest of the movie. But yeah, I think like, but would I have personally watched it even without this podcast? Probably not. I mean, not even probably not. It had to be a perfect scenario where I'm back in Dallas visiting my mom, and she's like, "We need a movie to watch. Let's turn it on. I really want to see it." And then I watched, and then I would have fallen asleep.
Yeah, I think that goes to answer our question. I think that Tyler Perry makes Tyler Perry films. I actually am a bit of a Tyler Perry apologist in that the people that like his movies, and he makes the movies for the people who like his movies. Yeah. And as we can see, the numbers reflect that the people who do like his movies will go watch them. We've talked about kind of like the generation or that he's writing these movies for. We talked about Mari's TT, Aysha's mom, my mom. They did not have any huge problems with it, because the movie is for them. And so Tyler Perry has found his niche, and he is catering to the people that like Tyler Perry films. That said, I think that there's a lot of clickbait that might be involved in it. If you go in at the last minute, add this very outlandish scene, unorthodox scene, stick it at the very beginning, and that's all anybody can talk about. So if I have to ask myself honestly, if Tyler Perry is just doing this for the clicks, I'd have to say yeah, and I'd have to say that I too am interested to see what happens next, because how do you top pulling the body out of the casket? I know people say, "Oh, well, this you can hear these stories everywhere." Blah blah blah. I don't think I've ever heard the tale of somebody snatching the body out of the casket and being like, y'all keep y'all casket. I'll just throw the body in the back of my trunk. Aysha, what's up?
How about this? The next one, where this one was like a drama, the next one is a horror film.
Ooh.
And they are trying, it starts out with them burying him, but then the mom's like, dig him up. We're gonna go put him in her house. We're gonna go put him in her house and
prop him up against the wall.
Haunt her. Yeah.
I'm
they're
trying
to
stuff
him like a taxidermist, you know. And
oh god, he's like boogie boogie by the window. Did you see when Tyler Perry was talking to Keke Palmer, and he basically said that it is the uppity black people that don't like him and that critique his work, and that, you know, he tries to tell experiences of people like him, people who are like down on their luck and stuff, and it's the uppity Negroes that don't agree. And it's like, you're a billionaire, Tyler.
You haven't been those people in a long time, Tyler Perry. You haven't.
A very long time. And we're not talking about the stories that you are. It's not the content of your stories that we're
like
saying.
More so the execution.
The execution. Yes, it is definitely the execution. So dumb. It was so stupid.
Yeah, it was. But it was fun. And I think we had a good time watching it and talking about it here on Recap Kickback. So overall, would I ever recommend this movie for anybody? No, probably not. Unless you wanted to laugh at it, you know, unless you wanted to have a good laugh, like Aysha said. But I would definitely recommend the first 7 minutes. I think everybody needs to see that absurdity. And so Tyler Perry, whatever you're doing is working. And I be rooting for everybody black. So I hope that you continue doing what you're doing, but hire writers. Hire writers. Like, Tyler Perry,
he refuses.
You don't have to write everything. You don't have to do that. You can share the wealth. If you're looking out for the downtrodden black people, the down on their luck people, give them jobs. Give them jobs. You know, pay the people.
It doesn't say written, directed, produced by Tyler Perry. I don't want it.
Yeah, and that's okay. I just want you to not do that, Tyler Perry. And so, you know, I did appreciate this for what it was, and I appreciated that it brought us this podcast, and it brought Aysha to Recap Kickback. Aysha,
yes,
thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I am so glad I was finally able to come on and talk to y'all about this. This was so fun. It really was the highlight of the watching experience, because had I just watched it and moved around my life, I would have been like, why did I waste 2 hours? It wasn't even an hour and a half. It was 2 hours.
It was legit 2 hours.
And it took me so long to get through because I kept pausing it to do other stuff. To watch something more entertaining. But I did want to circle back to, we had pointed out that Smart Guy was Corey Hardrick's, like, one of his earliest TV things, and then the fact that he was with Tia, like, it wasn't a coincidence. So Smart Guy filmed from 97 to 99, and Corey and Tia got together in 2000. So I bet they met there.
They probably met on the show. Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Or maybe they met before that, and that's how he got the role. You know, it's not like he was he wasn't a main character. He was just the kid on an episode of Smart Guy. But you know, Tia and Tamara were closely. I mean, there was some overlap between Smart Guy and their show, Sister for sure. Their brother Taj being on that show as well. So yeah, maybe they're from the same agency or whatever. So it led to a love story that has since ended as well. Hopefully that divorce ended in the black. Aysha, could you tell everybody where they can find you and what else you have going on, and you know, if they can expect to see you back on Recap Kickback?
You could definitely expect to see me back on Recap Kickback. Now that it's happened the first time, like, I can come back, you know. I was so nervous, you know. I didn't know if I could. Y'all are always so entertaining and funny. I didn't know if I could stack up. So y'all can find me at Aysha like Aysha. That's AYSHA like ASIA on all social media platforms. Right now, I'm just podcasting about Big Brother 26. You can catch me on like live feed updates for the most part. And yeah, just give me a follow. I post a lot of my dogs. If you're watching on YouTube, you see my dogs behind me. I post them a lot on Instagram. So if you love dog content, give me a follow.
All right. Thank you so much. And Mari, what about you? What else do you have going on?
Of course, every Tuesday, me and Sarah Carradine bring you True Crime Tuesdays over on RHAP with the Crime Scene podcast. That's Crime SEEN podcast, Crime Scene podcast. This week, me and Sarah went at it alone, where we recapped Sasha Reed and the Midnight Order. It was a 5-part docuseries.
Oh,
Yes, on Freeform, which yeah, we realized at the end of taping, we were like, what, this was on Freeform, but it's
mhm.
basically about a criminal psychologist who forms a band of she gets a band of women together that all do different things, and like, oh, it's a criminologist, it's a girl who wants to be a future detective, a data analyst, and they made this huge data bank of missing and murdered people, specifically to, and this takes place in Canada, specifically to see if there's serial killer patterns. And it was very interesting. It was very Scooby-Doo style true crime. Please go listen to me and Sarah talk about it. You can go to robhasawebsite.com/crime feed in order to subscribe to the Crime Scene podcast, which is on all platforms. Me and Matt Scott decided to do a pop-up podcast, apparently, where we reviewed the SummerSlam premium live event this past Saturday. We did it live. We had a whole bunch of fun. You can go to youtube.com/@wrestling-rehap-up. That's youtube.com/@ wrestling RHAPUP to hear us talk about the premium live event over there. And just make sure you're subscribed. Go to robhasawebsite.com/wrestling feed. So subscribe so you can get notified whenever we come back, because we're like popping in and out for the next few months probably, for all the premium live events. But just make sure you're subscribed so you can get notified. And of course, you can find me on Twitter at Mari Talks Too Much. That's 2 like the number 2, where right now it's all Big Brother all the time. Big Brother 26 is in full swing. So I'm talking about that a lot. I was just on the round table this week for RJP talking about Big Brother. So a lot of stuff going on, a lot of fun. Just make sure you follow me on Twitter to know what I'm up to.
All right. And as far as I go, you can find me here on Recap Kickback. Again, Bel-Air season 3 is coming this week. And so Puya will be my co-host to talk about season 3. You can keep up with all our past Bel-Air coverage by subscribing to the Bel-Air post-show recaps feed. But again, all of that information will be on the Recap Kickback feed as well for season 3. But the older stuff will be on the post-show recaps feed. Check that out over there. And then next week, Tyrone and I will be talking about Mr. Throwback, the Steph Curry, I guess it's kind of like a sitcom. I don't know. It's a Steph Curry show that is coming on, and it's supposed to be funny. And so Tyrone will be back to talk about that with me. I've been doing some guest appearances as well. I guested on Mess Magnus this week to sub in for Sasha. Kirsten and I talked about a lot of mess and all the vibes over there on Mess Magnus, so check that out. Sasha will be out on the Below Deck podcast, so I'm bringing in Jason O to be our special guest for this week live on YouTube. If you've already missed it, check that out. It's on the RHAP YouTube page, or make sure you subscribe to the Below Deck Wrap-Ups feed to keep up with all the Below Deck coverage. As Mari and Aysha both pointed out in this podcast, Big Brother 26 is happening. And so weekly, I talk to Rob Cesternino on our podcast called The Slop, behind the patron paywall on RHAP. But you have to be a patron to hear it. So you have to go to patreon.com/RHAP and subscribe to get that sloppy coverage of what's going on in the Big Brother house. It's ridiculous, and I'm having the time of my life talking about all the foolishness, so check that out as well. And then also on RJP, Rob and I are still hosting the Nothing But Netflix podcast, where we're talking about different Netflix shows every week. Check that out, and then check me out on Twitch. I'm streaming now, twitch.tv/Chappell's_show. That's CHAPPELLS_show, to keep up with me on Twitch and to join the affiliates. I've made it. We made it. We got subscribers now. We got followers, but we need more. So come join the conversation over there on Twitch, and then make sure you follow Recap Kickback on all social media platforms at Recap Kickback to keep up with all the stuff we have going on here and more. But for Mari and for Aysha, you ain't got to go home, but you definitely got to get the hell up out of here. Until next time, we will talk to you later. Peace.